Well, if you've heard the Serenity Prayer, it may have been in connection with a 12-step meeting, 12-step recovery. It is a prayer commonly heard in many such meetings. Um, it actually originated with a theologian who had nothing to do with the 12 steps. He just happened to write a prayer that was seen by Bill Wilson, one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, back in the 1930s. And it was written about the same time that Bill Wilson was writing the big book of AA. Now, you don't have to know all that to appreciate the fact that it's a beautiful prayer. It's a meaningful prayer. And I went back to the 1930s dictionary just to see if it could teach me anything about the words in the prayer. And I'm going to go through them fairly quickly and conversationally here. You can see more about them one by one at 12drawings.com. The first word is God, which is a being of more than attributes and powers according to the good old Webster's dictionary of that day. Well, I didn't know how to draw God, and of course I don't take that lightly, but what appears to be a white hand here is actually not what's surrounding it, which is all the different things that make up human power. Um, Food, like agriculture, education, jewelry, math, sports, drinking, uh, weapons of different kinds, uh, jewelry, tobacco, again, eating, money. There's a cup of tea with a ball of tea in it. And there's a rose for just beautiful flowers, whether natural or cultivated. There's a musical instrument. There's a scientific beaker. There's a medicine represented by a stethoscope. Down here in the corner is a crown. There's a little football representing sports. So everything you see around here is a human power. What you see in the center is not. And if I'm to go on search for something higher than human power, I can begin by not looking among all these things. The next part of the prayer is God grant me. The grant in 1934 meant to agree or assent to. Now, I've said the prayer many times asking for God to give me what I'm asking for. However, the word grant back in 1934, evidently, according to the dictionary, meant to agree or assent to. So listen to how that changes the prayer. God, agree to me having the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Doesn't it sound like it's being withheld from me? And I think that's really key. Hard to imagine that the higher power of anybody's imagination would say, no, I don't want to give you serenity. I absolutely do not want you to be serene. Stop asking for it. No, it makes more sense just to say this prayer is actually talking to myself and saying, it's already been agreed to. You know, God agreed to the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, rather than you're withholding it and I wish you would give it to me. God grant me the serenity. Often you'll see very sort of pastoral or beautiful pictures associated with the word serenity. And I read the definition for the 1930s. It says the quality of being bright, clear, and calm. And frankly, I was a little disappointed that I found myself making yet another beautiful drawing. And it was almost before I was finished with it that I realized what I had created here was this circle of flat, smooth, clear, bright, calm water, where all the ripples around it were not reaching this area. And this is not something imaginary. I see this when I pass bodies of water. I see this every day. Not really sure how it happens, but it is a good representation to me of how I would like my spirit to be. God grant me the serenity to accept. Now this image is quite simple. It took a long time for it to come to me, but It shows someone who's turning something normally used to repel or reject rain, and they've literally turned it upwards in a completely different intention in order to capture rain, to receive rain. And that, in fact, is the definition, 1934 dictionary, to receive with an assenting mind. Grant me the serenity to accept with an assenting mind the things I cannot change. The courage, accept the things I cannot change. What does thing meant? When I was a kid, I thought basically kids had made it up. Well, it turns out it's got a very long history, and I won't go into that now, but a thing is an official word for a matter of concern. Now notice it's vague. It doesn't say is it a good concern, a bad concern, a big concern, a small concern. It's intentionally left unclear, unknown, uncertain. And that's exactly what I tried to illustrate here was here's a brick falling from a brick structure. That could be a matter of concern. Maybe the brick bridge is about to collapse, fall apart. On the other hand, maybe it's just a meaningless fact that a brick fell, or maybe someone up here dropped it. Doesn't matter at all. You really have a hard time sorting out whether this is an ominous, dangerous thing or whether it's absolutely meaningless. And I think that's why in the prayer we say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, be they big or small. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I can not change. I thought before I looked it up in a 1934 dictionary meant I'm able to. I'm able to change things. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I'm not able to change. That's not what it said. The main definition of the word can in 1934 was to know how to. To know how to. And I thought about that for a very long time, and I realized I have a lot of problems in my life that are just overwhelmingly complicated, and I couldn't possibly figure out how to work them any more than I could figure out how to work this extraordinarily complicated system of valves. However, there are things which are relatively simple, like this two-position handle that's opened or closed, and I know how to do that. So if you ask me, can you work this, I would say I don't know. I don't think I can. That would mean I actually don't know how to. Now here, if you said, do you know how to change this or turn this off and on? I would say, yeah, I do. We'd say, therefore, I can change this. There's nothing wrong with being unable to change this, right? If I say I can't do it, I shouldn't feel bad about myself. I should just say, well, this falls in the category of things that I don't know how to change. This is a very simple illustration for the word not. Grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change. And in it we see a horseback rider, I hope you can tell that's what it is, who's been taking the horse over the jumps in a riding ring, and it's successfully gone over and turned, and the rider is having just a great time. Horse is doing everything that the rider wants until suddenly not. Make negative a word or group of words. Is he having a good ride? Yes. Yes. Not. So that's the definition of the word not in 1934. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The word change in 1934 meant to alter or substituting something for. And I agree that could mean you're going to change your socks. You're going to alter them by substituting a new pair of socks. But I really took it to mean, what if you came at an old problem in a brand new way? What if you changed your entire outlook on life? What if you knew how to accomplish something in a way you've never done it before? And if you don't know how to do that, then you cannot change. But if you do know how to do it, now you've got new possibilities that you didn't have when you were just sticking to the same old solution. Oops, sorry, courage. Um, Grant me the courage to change the things I can change. When I looked up the word courage in a 1930s dictionary, it was a curious definition. It said the heart as the seat of intelligence or feeling. And seat means kind of like the foundation, the basis of intelligence or feeling. And I don't know many people who say the heart is the seat of their intelligence. I know plenty of people who feel with their heart. And this drawing, oh, it's to me, a very gripping drawing. It shows a lady who's outside of a house that's clearly on fire. She's still in her night clothes, so it's obvious that she's left the house. And then up in the window is a crib in a bedroom that's already catching fire. And in the crib, you can barely see a small child. And naturally, in this drawing, that's her child. And she's trying to get back into the house, which is a very natural reaction. And there's a fireman trying to stop her. There's someone, maybe a sister or a neighbor, I mean, really trying to stop her, grabbing her by the hair, and she's pulling her hair away. And then there's a small child here, maybe this lady's other child, trying to get the mother to stay outside where it's safe. But she's going in. Why? Because her heart is driving her intelligence. It's making her decision for her. She's not calculating her odds of success. She is going inside that house no matter what. That's a very different definition of courage, frankly, than I had. I thought courage meant you were invincible. You always figured out how to win. And it turns out in this illustration, courage just means you have absolute certainty about what the right thing is for you to do, and you're going to do it. Grant me the courage to accept the things I cannot change. The wisdom. This one's kind of, I don't know, a little unexpected. I didn't expect to draw it, but it shows someone who crafts beautiful, very lifelike decoys out of wood. And that's a real thing. If you've ever seen a high quality duck decoy, they are a work of art, even if you never use them for hunting. In fact, most people probably don't use the better ones for hunting. But this is a craftsman who's got a pet duck who's a sit-in model to make sure that he can match that lifelike quality in the wooden carving. But something's gone wrong. He's gone crazy. He's about to do something to the live duck that could hurt it. And this is someone who has lost the quality of judging soundly concerning what is true. This is true, or false. This is false. This is what's not real, and this is what's real, and he's lost it. So let me keep the wisdom to know the difference. So here we have know. It means to perceive directly. This is not drawn correctly. If you're a piano tuner, I apologize. But in fact, piano tuners do bring a tuning fork, which is absolutely precisely the correct note to tune a piano to. And they'll start by matching the piano to that tuning fork. And then when they adjust the rest of the strings on the piano, they know that it's all going to be correct. That is to perceive directly. Directly. He doesn't just come in with an idea in his mind. He comes in with the tool he needs in order to directly know what the pitch of this piano is. Finally, grant me the wisdom to know the difference. This one took a long time to do. In fact, it was like the second idea it came up with, but I like it the most. It shows someone holding up a piece of broccoli on a fork, and maybe they're getting ready to eat, and then for some reason they realized that it resembles in some way a photograph of an atomic bomb, what they call a mushroom cloud, that's in this black and white photograph on the table in front of them. And they're sort of comparing it and thinking, those two things are a lot alike. The definition of difference in the 1930s was the quality of being partly or totally unlike in nature, form, or quality. And yeah, I've known people who go to a restaurant, the broccoli's not cooked quite correctly, and instead of just saying, well, good enough, I'll eat it, they will go into a melodramatic fit and get mad at the restaurant, get mad at the waiter, get mad at the chef, refuse to pay for the dinner because the broccoli was not cooked exactly right. And you would think it was the end of the world. And this is someone who has lost the ability to distinguish between important and unimportant things. And unfortunately, that describes me more than I would like to admit. So I am happy to pray to know the difference. So I'm going to slowly go back through these. You can find out more about these at 12drawings.com. Thanks so much for listening.